All right, let's talk about something truly wild, a concept that's literally written into the geology of our planet, a geomagnetic reversal. I mean, what would actually happen if Earth's magnetic field just decided to flip?
So let's just jump right in with a pretty crazy thought experiment. Seriously, imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and the fundamental rules have changed. What if north was suddenly south?
In a flash, every single compass on the planet would be totally useless, just spinning around and around. The one thing we've relied on for direction for all of human history would just be gone. The world would be, quite literally, turned upside down.
But hang on, why would a compass even care? To really get the massive consequences of a flip, we first have to understand the invisible force that makes a compass work in the first place. So let's get into it. What is the geomagnetic field?
Okay, so deep inside our planet, in the Earth's outer core, there's this churning, swirling ocean of molten iron. All that motion generates a gigantic, invisible magnetic field that wraps all the way around our world and stretches way out into space. It's basically a core feature of our living planet.
And this field has two absolutely critical jobs. First, it's a shield. It's constantly deflecting a stream of dangerous particles from the sun that would otherwise just strip our atmosphere away. And second, it's a compass, giving us and a whole bunch of animals a reliable sense of direction.
So what happens if that shield and compass system suddenly goes haywire? In that crazy overnight flip scenario we talked about, the results would be, well, a terrifying cascade of failures across pretty much every system we have.
See, during a reversal, the field doesn't just flip. It gets weak, really weak. Scientists think it could lose as much as 90% of its strength, and that would leave our planet incredibly vulnerable. The very first domino to fall would be our technology. Without that magnetic shield, solar storms would slam into our power grids, causing huge surges and massive blackouts. Satellites would get fried. GPS would become a joke. And global communication and transportation, total chaos.
And it's not just our gadgets. The natural world would be thrown into complete disarray. Animals that depend on that magnetic field to migrate, we're talking birds, sea turtles, whales, they'd be completely lost. This isn't just a minor inconvenience for them. It could cause entire ecosystems to collapse and maybe even push some species toward extinction.
And us? Well, we would suddenly be exposed to way higher levels of radiation from space. And you'd start seeing some really weird things, like the northern and southern lights, auroras, appearing in places they never have before. Imagine seeing auroras light up the sky over New York City or Rome. But that amazing sight would actually be a huge warning sign.
And this quote just nails the eerie truth of it. These incredible light shows, as beautiful as they'd be, would be a clear signal that our planet's protective shield is failing. It would be a visible symptom of a really deep and dangerous instability.
Okay, let's all just take a breath for a second. That whole scenario is a lot. It's terrifying, but it's also just that, a hypothetical. The actual scientific reality of a geomagnetic reversal is, well, it's very, very different. So let's slow down and look at what the rocks actually tell us.
Yeah, that whole apocalyptic overnight flip thing, that's pure fiction. In reality, a reversal is an incredibly slow motion process. It's not something you'd wake up to one morning. It's a gradual change that plays out over thousands and thousands of years.
I mean, this timeline really puts it all into perspective. The last time this happened was 780,000 years ago. And while it's true our magnetic field is weakening right now by about 5% every century, the entire process of flipping takes millennia. You just can't get the planet's molten core to change directions on a dime.
So, if it's not a sudden apocalypse, what is the real takeaway here? Well, understanding this whole thing kind of forces us to see our planet differently, not as some static, dead rock, but as a living, breathing, dynamic system with forces way, way beyond our control.
The more immediate threat from a weakening field isn't a sudden flip, but being more vulnerable to massive geomagnetic storms. A storm like the one that hit in 1859, called the Carrington event, was so powerful it set telegraph systems on fire. If a storm like that hit us today, with our total dependence on electronics, we're talking trillions of dollars in damage. That's the real present danger.
You know, in the end, life has survived countless reversals before, and it would survive again. We would adapt, but the experience would definitely change us. It would be an incredibly humbling reminder that we're just passengers on this planet, which has these deep, powerful rhythms that operate on a timescale we can barely even imagine. And that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about.
Would a geomagnetic reversal be a catastrophe for our modern civilization? Or would it be a revelation, a profound wake-up call that we're part of a world that is alive, powerful, and ultimately not under our command?